Meanwhile, in an exclusive interview that President Volodymyr Zelensky gave to CNN and Reuters, Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Russia must stop bombing Ukrainian cities before there is possibility of any meaningful talks that could result in a ceasefire. This, of course, has come after the first round of peace talks failed to yield any kind of a breakthrough. Zelensky has also further urged the NATO members to impose a no-fly zone to stop the Russian Air Force. It's also demanded for legally binding security guarantees. Our next report gets you the details.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia must stop bombarding cities before meaningful ceasefire talks could begin after a first round of negotiations yielded little progress.
We are for dialogue, yes, but the least that must happen is the bombardment of people must stop. You simply have to stop the bombardment and then sit down behind the table for talks.
The 44-year-old Zelensky, unshaven and clad in a khaki t-shirt and combat boots, made the remarks in an exclusive interview Tuesday with Reuters and CNN in a heavily guarded government compound in Kyiv. Just as he was speaking, news emerged that a Russian missile had struck a TV tower in the Ukrainian capital, killing at least 5 people. Earlier that day, missiles struck the heart of the eastern city of Kharkov. Ukraine is receiving weapons shipments from NATO members to help withstand a full-scale military invasion unleashed last week by Russian forces. The West has also introduced severe sanctions on the Russian economy. But Zelensky pressed the international community to do more, including imposing a no-fly zone over his country.
As far as a no-fly zone is concerned, it would have helped a lot. This is not about dragging NATO countries into war. The truth is, everyone has long since been dragged into war, and definitely not by Ukraine, but by Russia. A large-scale war is going on, and everybody thinks it would be over quickly. I talked to President Biden many times. I am very grateful to him for all the opportunities and the support, but they did not hear me. I told them that Ukraine will fight more than anyone else. But we, just by ourselves, left alone against Russia, we simply cannot manage.
But the White House says it is not willing to enforce a no-fly zone, which might put American service members in harm's way. Zelensky said that U.S. President Joe Biden had personally conveyed to him that now was not the time to introduce such a measure. President Zelensky has remained in Kyiv to rally his people against the Russian invasion, now in its 6th day, posting social media videos and constantly reassuring the population that neither he, his family, or closest officials have left.
Now, the battle for the Ukrainian capital continues to rage on. A massive column of Russian military is camping on the footsteps of Kiev. Now, in Kiev's Maidan Square, air raid sirens have been ringing out as Russia has resumed its aerial bombardment through missile strikes. The Russian forces have warned that they will be targeting security buildings, and they've asked the residents of the capital to evacuate immediately. The latest strike in the capital, in fact, targeted the TV tower in Kiev, knocking out the broadcast of some of the channels from there. And smoke rose about the streets of central Kiev after the television tower was struck. The local television channel has said that work will, of course, be done to restore any kind of lost signal. Meanwhile, the latest satellite images shows a 40-mile-long column of armored vehicles, tanks and artillery and other logistical vehicles that is virtually camping on the outskirts of the capital city, Kiev. The images also are evidence of the possibility of a full-scale onslaught on the Ukrainian capital. We can, of course, see damaged bridges, destroyed armored vehicles on the western edge of Kiev. The company providing the satellite images, Maxar Technologies, has said that it has seen plumes of smoke rising from a number of homes and buildings near the roads where the convoy is traveling. There's also an additional deployment of ground forces and ground attack helicopter units in southern Belarus, which lies less than 20 miles north of the Ukrainian border. Now, the areas around the capital have been heavily charred and destroyed. Now, another set of satellite images provided by Black Sky show the extensive damage that's been caused by recent airstrikes on the Antonov airport in Hostomel, which lies just north of Kiev. It's also been the scene of intense fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces. Now, these pictures, of course, show craters at a military airbase in Vasil Kiev, the southwest of the capital, and the aftermath of a fire at an oil terminal that was hit by Russian missiles. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.